What is this, Halo 5? What the hell is this? Look at that. Looks awful. It's terrible. Textures look like shit. This is next gen? What the hell?
I am Magneto, master of magnet. To die.
Yes, it's been a while, but we're here looking at next gen, and Microsoft just did their Xbox showcase. It's their second round of games to try and show off, and compared to what PlayStation did about a month ago, this flopped. There were a lot of expectations going into this. They promised gameplay. They did what they usually do with their fluff. And their biggest thing was trying to preach and show off Halo. Halo 6 had me excited. Still kind of does, but after what we saw today in gameplay, which was the only gameplay that was shown throughout the entire, showcase conference, whatever you want to call it, it's disappointing. And you can't sit here and watch both of these besides being a shill and say, I'm going to give Microsoft $600 for this system. I don't see it, especially when all the exclusives are going to be available on PC. If you want to go back and play old games with more power, that's great. I just don't see the worth of shelling out $600 or whatever it is to do so. Sure, if there's a smaller Xbox Series S or whatever comes out and it's only $200 or $300, I might pounce on that just for the sake of pouncing on it. That's really too inviting to not, consider. But what was shown today was pretty sad. I take that back. I wouldn't say sad. It was disappointing. I really gave the benefit of the doubt this time. And besides a couple of games that were announced with nothing really backing them in terms of gameplay, and it's still a hard pass for me. That's for Halo 6. A couple of details have come out since they showed off what they had. It was already kind of admitted that it would be mostly open world. There will be day-night cycles, which is kind of weird if they're going open world. So Bungie started Halo, and I guess got sick of Microsoft's crap. I'm not sure exactly what the deal there was, but 343 Industries took over the Halo franchise, and I personally thought Halo 4 was pretty good. I thought they maximized the potential of the Xbox 360 with its visuals, and I thought the game was good. When 5 came out, I remember playing it at the Microsoft event, party out in E3 when it was announced, and I was like, wow. It's one of those things Halo's always looked good for each console generation it was on, so when Xbox One came out, I thought, wow, everything's going to be vibrant. Everything's going to be blistering visuals. It's going to be awesome. And what actually happened was 343 dropped the ball on that, and Destiny ended up looking great. Bungie going with the open world style, but still, even now when you go back and play the Crucible, it still feels like old Halo. People do not give Destiny enough credit. Well, here we are with Halo 6, Halo Infinite, and, they're going, hey, we're going to do more open world stuff. Seems like they're circling back around to what Bungie's doing with Destiny, which I feel is not only awkward, but whatever word it is for it. But either way, we go back, you look at the visuals and what was shown, it looks dated. I mean, you can give all the credit you want for the fact that, hey, it's a beta, it's a demo. But if this game has been in development that long, and it looks like, I can't even say a release of last gen, because look at Killzone Shadow Fall. Game was absolutely gorgeous, even on multiplayer. And it destroys it. And you can go back, you can go online and look at screens. People are taking screenshots of, Halo Reach. And just the details there were so much better. It looks bland. I literally had people text me and go, are they showing Halo 1? And honestly, when you log on and look at the terrain, that's what it looked like, was Halo 1. And then Phil comes out and goes, well, this is a reboot. Are you just remaking the first one? Or what are we doing here? Maybe some of the areas are going to be the same. Nobody knows what's going on with the story. It's awful. And I put that little teaser thing at the beginning. That's the screenshot that's circling around the internet right now. You zoom in on that background. I mean, people were also stating that there were a lot of bushes of pop-in, graphical pop-in at distance. If this is supposed to be 12 teraflops, and that's what you're gauging by as your hardware, your developers are only as good as... Well, let me revise that. Your hardware is only as good as your developers take advantage of it. That's why Sony and its first-party developers, they have one thing to focus on, and they maximize it every time. Look at Ghost of Tsushima, Tsunami, whatever. Call it whatever you want. Game is gorgeous. It's still lacking, but I tell you what, in terms of backwards compatibility, when that does come out, imagine just filling in the gaps. If Sucker Punch puts out a patch for that, and we just get complete ridiculous visuals at 4K 60 on that, I mean, that already feels next gen. And yeah, you can argue Last of Us 2 is next gen as well, but right now it's Microsoft shown if Halo was supposed to be their big thing. Infinite looks like pure garbage. The textures in the background are bland. It's like Skyrim level textures from vanilla when it launched. It's not good. Like I said, I'm not going to completely shit on the Xbox showcase. Competition's good, but Sony is just, sitting on their thumbs and just letting Microsoft dig themselves a hole here, a grave again. At least there's no DRM this time like it was, 7 years ago. So I'm going to go down a quick list I made, which is going to be over here. So I'm going to look at it. There were some bright spots. The only other problem was the lowest common denominator is the fact that we were promised gameplay and they still didn't fucking show any gameplay. Like, really? Okay. Anyways, first game that pops up, Echo Generation, which was on the pre-show. Nah. It's a Pixar game. It's like, hey, look, cartoons running around. Nah. Is that going to make me buy the system? No. At that time, Game Pass, okay. It's worth a tryout. That's cool. I'm sure the ray tracing will make the lighting look really good. It's a very vibrant looking game, but it doesn't look interesting. What I think really surprised everybody was the next game they showed in the pre-show. And I'm not going to go through every game they showed. I just made a quick list. Exomecha. Wow. That is the first game. And that might be across all platforms. I don't know if that's an exclusive. Correct me if I'm wrong, the 5 people that will watch this video. But Exomecha looked awesome. It looked really next gen. The reflections and the colors and the background, God, it was great when they showed it. I was just watching it on my phone. I couldn't even imagine it in 4K. But they get 4K 60 on that or even more. That game looks ridiculous. The only thing that bothers me about it is that it's free to play. So it's going to be very base. It's probably something like Warframe that's like chock full of microtransactions. But if that game isn't exclusive, and the Series X does really show that off, or even PC, if you got the card to run that game looked awesome. It's basically Transformers, just a lot of robots running around on the beach and different stuff. It looked amazing, and honestly, I'd dump Halo and make that. If that was an exclusive, I'd dump Halo and make that like the future of the sponsorship or like the marketing for Xbox. That's fucking great. State of Decay 3 was a great surprise. I liked 2, but people forget how buggy 2 was. But there's just another CG trailer. But the fact is, that's a nice announcement that's coming. And again, through all this, there were no release dates given on any of these games. They showed Forza, but it was CG. We know what we're going to get with Forza. Forza is like Microsoft's tech demo when it comes to Xboxes. Racing games are really kind of easy to, in terms of learning what I've learned over the years being in the industry, it's like you render the car, and then you render the background separately, and it's literally just scrolling. Like you can get away with a lot on racing games. When you play like the Horizon franchise, you can kind of see it. Horizon isn't fun to me. I'm a sim racing guy, but even like Simcade, I'll play like Grid and stuff. I'll do it. But even Gran Turismo 7, which isn't, there's a very good chance that's not even close to being done when it's been in development for a few years. They showed gameplay. I mean, they showed you in the car, Trial Mountain. They showed the lighting. They showed how the graphical possibilities. I kind of missed the mark on this one. It's like, okay, we know Forza's coming as Microsoft. It's like, that's not something you need to tout. You didn't necessarily know about Gran Turismo. Gran Turismo, they opened up that Sony showcase with that, and that was great. Yeah, it'd been great if it was a launch title, but if they were to make that launch title, that would sell a lot of systems out of the bat. Microsoft is hoping that Halo is going to be their Breath of the Wild with the Switch, where they don't have to do anything for a year or two and just live off of Game Pass of old games and live off of Halo. But after what we saw today, yeah. Anyways, back to the list. Tell me why I should buy it. No, I just don't care. Ori looks awesome, but again, you're going back and depending on old games. I mean, obviously you need to showcase that backwards compatibility can make something look great, but it's a colorful platformer. It's 120 frames a second. That might actually change how the game feels. So, I don't know. I'd really like to play that game on PC. It's just too expensive for me, and I'm not one to delve into Game Pass. So, that'll be good. And it's a free upgrade. That's cool. And let's see. Another one as Dusk Falls. Not feeling it. Psychonauts 2. Alright. Give me that. That's cool. It's not a system seller. Stalker 2. Hell yeah. Now, if there is one thing that was a surprise, Stalker 2 is absolutely it. I'm pretty impressed with that. Even more so, it's an exclusive. That's how you do it. That's how you do it. So, it's been, I guess I said 10 years. It's been a long time I had the original Stalker. It was awesome. Stalker 2 being on, granted it's on PC too, but I'll even get the benefit of the doubt for that. I'll plug in the exclusives to be on PC. There's still, and we'll get to the point where you should buy it, build a PC instead. But no, Stalker 2, that was great. Tetris. This is 88. Tetris. At least, and this might actually be worse, but showcase Tetris with new music. Yeah. Tetris. It's not Minecraft with ray tracing. Even with the Minecraft, there's some tech behind it, but it's like, yeah. Don't get me wrong, I love Tetris, and that Tetris VR game is great, but you really need to. Now, Sony had a couple gaps on theirs too, like with the furry high school game, whatever it was, and the butt sex bug snacks game, at least Tetris is a name, but it's kind of like them. Maybe in 360 they showed off Bejeweled, but it's a puzzle game. It's like, come on, man. There's no hardware involved to push that. It's Tetris. Lastly, and I was watching a stream at the time. It's like, they get to the end and they cut to whoever it was. It might have been Jeff Keighley. I'm not sure. It's like, oh, we got... that was great. We got one more theme for you. And people were like, all right. This is Fable. This is it. Shows the developer Playhouse or whoever it was. And, okay. 30 seconds of CG. Fable. No idea what's going on. They could have called that game Rake the Yard, and you wouldn't be able to distinguish if it was Fable or not. Oh, it looked funny. Okay. No gameplay. A game that's supposedly been in development for a long time, and here we are. You show 30 seconds of a CG trailer that really just doesn't tell us anything. That's your big closer. That was supposed to be your saving grace. But of course, everybody on the Microsoft side thought it was great. How they play the political game so well. It's like, oh, this is perfect. We're going to sell millions of systems. That system's going to sit there. Next thing I want to roll to is YouTubers. They really just have a strong influence, especially over young people, since people under, I guess, the age of 18 don't watch television anymore. But, the whole pre-show was littered with, various people I had no idea who they were. And I'm in the industry. I've been in the industry 10 years. I don't sit there and just watch people play. I'd rather play. Makes sense? Anyways, one of these notable people was Alana Pierce. And she came out after the conference and said, oh my god, Fable looks amazing. It's like, what was there to look at? It was a 30-second CG trailer. It literally didn't show anything about the game. A frog ate a fairy. I don't know. It doesn't look good. Same thing happened with Hellblade. People thought those are Xbox Series X graphics, and it's not. Oh, that's another thing. We didn't get any Hellblade gameplay. Be ridiculous. But, these people are paid to go on those shows. I mean, it's pretty obvious. And we got Greg Miller just now putting out a tweet stating that, Halo Infinite looked amazing. And everybody's like, you watch the same show? These guys are in there. I mean, they got to make their money somehow. That's fine. Am I a little jealous? Sure. I mean, but I'm not going to shill like that. And you call me a PlayStation shill? I'll keep it facts. If Microsoft offered something better, like I said, Stalker 2, awesome. I just want what's best for my money. I don't want to be lied to, and that's in everything. That's in buying furniture. That's in politics. Like, don't lie to me. And then you have people out there that just continue the narrative backing it, and these YouTubers. You can say journalists are what they are. I'm still a journalist, but I keep it real. I don't care if I get invited to something in anywhere. Your game comes out and it's garbage, and I'm gonna put that as garbage. That's all there is to it. But just to have these people like on top of, they already get a lot of flack. I get it, but I mean, they're doing what I do, but they just have an audience. I just like a way to have an outlet out there. I like doing this, but these people have gone before, and they just hype everything because they're paid to hype everything, or just told to hype everything. Even if they're not paid out of pocket, I mean, the perks are there. Like, you're going to do it. And like, videos are fun. Editing necessarily isn't that fun until the end. But a lot of these people, they don't even do their editing. And streams, I mean, I had to fumble with 10 minutes to get this thing working. But just going back to it, it's like, Microsoft's still using like YouTubers to try to influence people. I mean, imagine, like, I don't know if anybody remembers the game Mace Griffin that had Henry Rollins in it, like 2003. I worked at EB Games, which became GameStop. And, we were told then to push this game. It's like, man, it's really hard to push hot garbage. Could you imagine now, like, a game like that being, pushed by YouTubers? But there's just, a lot of them just defend, what's out there. I mean, you can't sit there and look at that Halo video and think it's great. You can't sit there and tell me that Fable looks awesome when there was literally nothing to look at. That's like me saying, hey, the next Elder Scrolls looks awesome when they showed a video last year, and it was just, hey, look, here's a screen, here's Elder Scrolls. It's like, oh my God. I rubbed my eye. It's just, they're using that again, and that's only going to get worse. But at this point, you're still choosing between having where to put your money in a console. Console wars exist because people want backing. They're insecure. Like, you spend a couple $100 on something, you'll want it to be the best. I mean, it's not like buying a pack of Doritos versus like the Walmart brand or something like that. And, I'm defending the Walmart brand because, it's the better buy and all this shit. That's minuscule at that point. Something like this, it's like you spend that much money, you want to be the best. And that's why a lot of this exists. And you're going to spend your hard-earned money. You want to put it in the right places, offering the most. You have deniers out there. It's just people in denial that, we got this. We got backwards compatibility. Man, if I wanted to play 10-year-old games, I'd keep my old system and play 10-year-old games. I mean, I've got a few games on PC that I'll go back and play that are older, but mainly because they're not available anywhere else. And it's like even before the Command & Conquer Remaster came out, I still play some of the Command & Conquer games. Diablo 2, stuff like that. Go back and play. Yeah, no doubt about it. But that's not available on consoles. But to give a couple of reasons between PS5 and Xbox Series X and what you should go with. And I don't even think Series X is going to be the final name. They're getting way too confusing. PS5 is still going to have the exclusives. They still have the top studios. They showed more. They've showed a lot of promise. Pricing we can't really, throw in just yet. But, they have the audio component that Xbox doesn't have. And they're going to have backwards compatibility with a lot of games on 4. I mean, if you're mad that you can't go back and play like Black Ops 3 on a newer, I mean, that's you personally. But games like Ghost of Tsushima, God of War, Last of Us 2, imagine that with more horsepower and just an uncapped frame rate. It's going to be amazing. Xbox Series X, yeah, Gears will look great, but it's still Gears when you bring in the backwards compatibility and you bring the upgrade. Ori will look great. Forza games will probably be good, but in terms of what's on the table, it's Spider-Man, Gran Turismo 7, Ratchet and Clank. Another thing is, if you care, technically Resident Evil 8 isn't an exclusive, but much like Resident Evil 7, the ability to play in VR will be an exclusive. And you can't get that anywhere else. Yeah, you can play the game on the other systems, but even if you use the old VR system with the overhead of hardware specs for the PS5, it's going to allow for a lot more visual fidelity and immersion. I did also want to comment, I keep forgetting about this because I didn't write it on my list. They did show gameplay, I guess, for the Medium. Medium looks awesome, and that's great. But the third argument I have is, if you don't really care about the next-gen consoles, I mean, it might actually be better to build a computer. That means, we could again see mid-tier upgrades for these consoles down the road and having to shell out another $500 and go towards a video card in in a couple of years, and it's going to last quite a long time, anyways. I'm still rocking a GTX 1080 Ti, and I have 4K gaming at 60 frames per second, usually across the board, except for maybe Ubisoft titles. That's another thing. Ubisoft titles are still going to be capped at 30 frames a second on the Series X. To me, what it seems like they're doing is they're developing it for the baseline older systems, but they're just going to add different assets in there. 4K textures, resolution, but they're really just not going to do any optimization. But building a PC, one of the Ubisoft games will get 60 frames a second if you love it. The new video cards, I mean, people are like, oh, well, the consoles are going to be up there with PC. Not until that's going to change at the end of this year. You can argue AMD's Big Navi might not take care of business because they always seem to underperform when it comes down to it, but their shills are so defensive over them, it's ridiculous. I'll give them credit for their processors. But when the RTX 3000 series comes out from NVIDIA, those video cards, it's going to make consoles immediately 5 years behind. The ray tracing that seems to be rumored on this is going to destroy the current line. And even then, there's only going to be bits and specks of these games that have ray tracing to enhance lighting in certain areas because, I mean, simply put, the hardware can't handle it. And I could easily see towards the end of the cycle that most of these titles will end up being cranked down to 30 frames per second just so they can run in 8K or, have full-on ray tracing or something like that. But you got to sacrifice one end for the other. It's not going to get the job done. So if you look at PC, you also get all of these Microsoft exclusives, all these Xbox exclusives are on PC, which is arguably the better version. Now, a couple of years ago, I'd say, yeah, they did that, but there were constant issues. But they really kind of seemed to square that up, starting with Gears 5. So kind of going forward, I got Gears 5, Forza Horizon 4. They all run perfectly, and they all look better than they do in 4K on Series X. Now, another thing that they might be trying to do with Halo, back to Infinite, is that game might look like that so they can actually get 4K in 120 frames per second, because the amount of assets that are on there, it seems like they got to cut back. So maybe they could just come out and say, hey, we can do this with Halo Infinite. Or we'll have to see. I mean, if that was a gameplay they chose, that wasn't the best choice. Anyways, in terms of next gen, I'm still on the PlayStation side. I haven't swayed otherwise. If I was going to pick a console, I do think everybody's PC right now is going to need an upgrade if they want to actually keep up with some of these visuals on console. I mean, that might contradict what I just said, but not really, because you'll just have to upgrade your card. I mean, once you do that, you're going to be good. I don't see a lot of people out, because a lot of people are still on PC game in 1080p. It's like, oh, we get great frame rates. It's not really master race if you're not doing 4K and you're not superseding what the consoles currently have. So it's just not great. Anyways, I'll wrap that up. Hopefully Microsoft will pull something on their ass. There were a few good things to take home from that. I'm excited about Stalker 2, instead of K3, the medium, maybe because they're all horror-related games. Fable, yeah, it's great it's coming, but we all knew it was coming. But nice to just actually see something. Halo, time's just going to have to tell. And it really just doesn't make sense to defend it when it just doesn't look all that impressive. I would like linear chapter storylines like we had from Halo 1, 2, and 3, with colorful visuals, ray tracing lighting, and that classic gameplay. Even 4. Still like 4. 4 looked great. 5, no. This one, ugh. They should call it Halo Potato. Anyways, I'll wrap it up with that. We'll be doing more shows going forward. Thank you.